Have you ever found yourself quietly wondering why so many good, hardworking folks, people who try to eat right, who go to their annual checkups, and who love their families more than anything, still don't see their 85th birthday? It's a question that sits in the back of our minds, isn't it? Especially when we dream of seeing our grandchildren not just graduate from college, but maybe even walk down the aisle. And perhaps, if we're truly blessed, hold their children in our arms one day. It's a beautiful, powerful dream. But here's the frightening truth that I've seen play out time and time again. The reason so many miss out on those precious extra years isn't some big, dramatic event. Instead, it's a series of small, silent mistakes. Mistakes are made every single day. They feel so ordinary, so completely harmless, yet they are quietly chipping away at your years. Sometimes, they can even steal entire decades from your life. But after decades of seeing patients in my medical practice, I can tell you the surprising truth is this. For most, it is not bad luck, and it is not bad genes. Most people pass away younger than they should because of 7 of these silent mistakes. And today, I'm going to walk you through each and every one. Not to scare you, but to empower you. To give you back control over your own health journey. And please, make sure you stay with me until the very end. Because if you do, you'll know exactly how to sidestep these hidden traps. You'll understand how to live not just a longer life, but a stronger, sharper, and more joyful one, well into your 90s and beyond. The final mistake we discuss is often the most overlooked, and understanding it can truly be a game changer for your golden years. Before we begin, I truly want to know if this resonates with you. If that dream of having more time, more healthy years, with your family is something that truly matters to you. Please take a moment to comment with the simple word, family, below. It tells me that you understand, and more importantly, it shows everyone else in this community that they are not alone in feeling this way. Alright, let's get started. Let's get started with the very first silent mistake I see far too often. Mistake number 1. The medication overload trap. Picture this for a moment. A bathroom cabinet that looks less like a place for toiletries and more like a small pharmacy. There's one little orange bottle for blood pressure, a white one for cholesterol, something to help you sleep, another pill for acid reflux, and maybe one for that aching knee that acts up when the weather changes. Each one was prescribed by a doctor you trust, with the very best of intentions. But here is the danger nobody ever seems to talk about. When these medications are brought together, they can start a chemical war inside your body. The moment you are taking 5 or more medications, a situation many seniors easily find themselves in, the risk of dangerous interactions absolutely skyrockets. Some drugs can cancel each other out, making them useless. Even worse, some can amplify each other's side effects, creating a cascade of new problems. Now, here is the core reason this becomes so critical as we age. Our bodies change. As we get older, our liver and our kidneys, which are the body's natural filtering systems, begin to slow down. They don't process things as efficiently as they did at 30 or 40. This means a dose of medication that was perfectly safe for you at 50 can become potentially harmful by the time you're 70, because it stays in your system longer. This is why so many older adults complain of constant fatigue, dizziness, or just a persistent brain fog. They chalk it up to getting older, when in reality, it's often the toxic cocktail of medications they're taking every single day. I remember a patient of mine, a wonderful gentleman named Robert. He was a retired mechanic who spent his life fixing things, but he couldn't figure out why he felt so weak and confused all the time. He was on nearly a dozen different pills. His family was worried, and frankly, so was he. He felt like he was fading away. It was only when we sat down and did a full review, one pill at a time, that we found the culprits. There were overlaps, and there were interactions. After a careful discussion with his specialists, we were able to safely eliminate 4 of his medications. 2 weeks later, Robert told me he felt like himself again for the first time in 5 years. So please, here is what I want you to do. Take back control of your health. Conduct what I call a medication review. Gather up every single bottle, prescriptions, over-the-counter pills, vitamins, herbal supplements, everything. Put them in a bag and bring them to your next doctor's appointment. Ask your doctor this one, powerful question for each one. Is this pill still doing an essential job, or could a change in my lifestyle possibly do it better? You would be amazed at how often a simple change in diet or a little more movement can reduce or even eliminate the need for a pill. This single action is one of the most empowering steps you can take for your long-term health. Now, for the second mistake, which starts not in the medicine cabinet, but in your kitchen. Mistake number 2. The hidden poisons in your pantry. Walk into what many people would call a healthy American kitchen, and you'll see them everywhere. Whole grain cereals that are secretly loaded with sugar, so-called diet sodas filled with artificial sweeteners, and low-fat cookies that are packed with chemical additives you can't even pronounce. Behind those cheerful, healthy-looking labels often lurk the very things that accelerate aging. These ingredients fuel something doctors call chronic, low-grade inflammation. Think of it like a slow-burning fire inside your body that never goes out. This constant, internal fire is the root cause of most age-related diseases we fear: heart disease, debilitating arthritis, and even memory loss. The core reason this becomes so dangerous as we age is twofold. First, our bodies become more sensitive to these inflammatory foods. But just as importantly, our natural defense mechanisms weaken. One of the most critical is our sense of thirst. As you get older, your body's thirst signal becomes much weaker. You can be significantly dehydrated and not even feel thirsty. And this chronic dehydration puts a terrible, constant strain on your kidneys, thickens your blood, making your heart work harder, and directly contributes to that feeling of brain fog and dizziness. Many seniors who feel unsteady on their feet aren't suffering from a complex medical issue. They are simply not drinking enough water. I had a patient, Brenda, who was so frustrated. She was constantly tired, her joints ached, and she was gaining weight despite only eating healthy foods. When we looked at her diet, it was full of these hidden traps. Diet yogurts, whole wheat bread that was high in sugar, and bottled salad dressings. She was also drinking maybe 2 or 3 small glasses of water a day. Her body was both inflamed and dehydrated. So here is the simple, powerful action you can take. Forget complicated diets and just follow what I call the 5x5 rule. It is incredibly easy to remember. First, when you buy packaged foods, try to choose ones with 5 ingredients or fewer. Second, make it a goal to drink 5 full glasses of water before 5 p.m. each day. And third, try to eat 5 different colors of fruits and vegetables every day. Red from a tomato, green from spinach, blue from blueberries, and so on. This isn't about restriction. It's about nourishing your body with real, whole foods and giving it the water it desperately needs to function. It's a simple change, but the results, they can be life-changing. Let's move on to the third silent mistake, and this one is all about movement. Mistake number 3. The downward spiral of taking it easy. We've all seen it happen, or perhaps even felt it ourselves. After a small slip on a wet patch of pavement, or a close call on the stairs, a very sensible-sounding thought enters our mind: I need to be more careful. That sounds wise, right? But what does being more careful often turn into? It means taking fewer walks around the neighborhood. It means avoiding the stairs and waiting for the elevator. It means turning down invitations to go out with friends because it just feels like too much effort. But here is the tragic irony. This fear of falling leads directly to moving less. And moving less is precisely what weakens your muscles, throws off your balance, and makes you far more likely to fall in the future. It is a vicious, downward cycle that speeds up a condition doctors call sarcopenia, which is simply the medical term for age-related muscle loss. The core reason this is so devastating is that your muscles are your body's armor. They support your joints, power your movement, and most importantly, they are what catch you when you stumble. By age 70, many people have the muscle mass and strength of someone 20 years older, not because of the number on their birth certificate, but simply because of inactivity. They have unknowingly allowed their strength to wither away. This leads to that feeling of being frail, of being unsteady, of losing your physical confidence and your independence along with it. I think of a gentleman named George, a proud grandfather who, after a minor fall, became terrified of falling again. He stopped playing in the yard with his grandkids. He stopped going for his morning walks. Within a year, he needed a cane to get around. He told me, "Doc, I guess this is just what getting old feels like." But it wasn't his age that was holding him back, it was his fear. So please, do not let this happen to you. You can reclaim your strength with this incredibly simple solution. I call it the power of 3. First, do 3 simple balance exercises while you brush your teeth each morning, like standing on one foot for 30 seconds. Second, during television commercials, do 3 simple strength moves, like standing up and sitting down from your chair 10 times without using your hands. And third, do 3 gentle stretches before you get into bed at night. Your muscles do not have a calendar. They don't know how old you are. They only know one thing: use me or lose me. Start using them today. Now for our 4th mistake, which is one of the most heartbreaking and deadliest of them all. Mistake number 4. The social isolation time bomb. After the retirement party is over and the daily interactions with colleagues disappear, many seniors find their world slowly, almost imperceptibly, shrinking. The phone doesn't ring as often. The kids and grandkids are busy with their own lives. A whole day can drift by, then 2, without a single meaningful face-to-face conversation. But this loneliness isn't just a sad feeling. It's a lethal condition. I want you to hear this because it's critically important. Groundbreaking research has shown that chronic loneliness and social isolation increase your risk of premature death by nearly 50%. That is the same health risk as smoking 15 cigarettes every single day. The core reason this is so physically damaging is that we are biologically wired for connection. When we are isolated, our bodies go into a state of chronic stress. It weakens our immune system, making us more susceptible to illness. It dramatically increases that dangerous inflammation we talked about earlier, and it can literally double your risk of developing dementia. The human brain is a social organ. It needs interaction to stay healthy and sharp. When it's deprived of that stimulation, it begins to decline. This is why so many people feel their memory and focus slipping away, not because of a disease, but because of a deep, unmet need for human connection. They feel forgotten, and their health pays the price. I will never forget a woman named Margaret, whose husband had passed away a few years prior. She told me she felt invisible. Her days were long and empty. She was suffering from aches and pains, poor sleep, and a general feeling of despair. She was convinced her health was failing. But the prescription I gave her wasn't a pill. I urged her to take one small step. I asked her to volunteer at the local library, just 2 hours a week, reading to children. The change was nothing short of miraculous. Within a month, her aches had lessened, she was sleeping better, and she had a sparkle in her I hadn't seen in years. She had found a connection. She had found purpose. So I am asking you to do the same. Build intentional connections. The solution is simple. Call one old friend on the phone this week, just to hear their voice. Join a local club or class. It could be a book club, a gardening group, or a church study. And volunteer just 2 hours a week. Connection is not about having 100 friends on Facebook. It is about having regular, heartfelt contact with other human beings. It is as essential to your health as the air you breathe. Let's discuss mistake number 5, which takes place entirely between your ears. Mistake number 5. The mindset of, I'm too old for that. One of the biggest and most destructive lies we tell ourselves as we get older is that senior moments are just an inevitable, unavoidable part of aging. We laugh it off when we can't find our keys or forget a name, saying, "Oh, I'm just getting old." But believing that myth is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It is incredibly dangerous because it gives us permission to stop trying. When you stop challenging your brain, when you decide you're too old to learn a new skill or explore a new idea, your brain literally stops growing new connections. It's as simple as that. The core reason this belief is so toxic is that it flies in the face of what science knows to be true about the brain. The brain has a remarkable ability called neuroplasticity. This means it can reorganize itself, form new neural pathways, and adapt at any age. Yes, even in your 70s, 80s, and 90s. But that ability is entirely dependent on one thing: stimulation. Think of your brain like a muscle. If you were to put your arm in a sling and not use it for a year, it would become weak and atrophied. The exact same principle applies to your brain. When you stop giving it a regular workout, it will get weaker. Those senior moments become more and more frequent, not because of your age, but because your mental muscles are out of shape. I once had a patient, a very bright man named Arthur, who retired from his accounting job and decided his days of hard thinking were over. He spent most of his time watching television. He told me, with a sense of resignation, that he could feel himself getting slower, more forgetful. He was convinced it was the beginning of the end. I challenged him. I asked him what he used to love doing before his career took over. He admitted he'd always wanted to learn to play the guitar. So, at 72 years old, he bought a used guitar and started taking online lessons. It was hard at first, he said, but then something amazing happened. Not only did he start learning chords, but he felt his mind waking up. He was sharper, his memory improved, and he felt a sense of accomplishment he hadn't felt in years. He wasn't just learning guitar, he was rebuilding his brain. So, this is your call to action. You must train your brain daily. The solution is enjoyable. Do puzzles, crosswords, or Sudoku. Try to learn something new, whether it's a new language on a free app, a new recipe, or how to use a computer to video chat with your grandkids. Read books, listen to podcasts, and stay curious about the world. Your brain is your most precious asset. Use it, or you will lose it. Let's move to mistake number 6, a heavy burden that many of us carry without ever realizing the physical price we are paying. Mistake number 6, the lifelong stress syndrome. We all know that stress feels bad. It makes us tense, irritable, and tired. But chronic stress, the kind that simmers under the surface for years or even decades, does something far more sinister. It doesn't just make you feel old. It literally ages you from the inside out, on a cellular level. When you are constantly worried, anxious, or holding onto anger, your body is flooded with a stress hormone called cortisol. In short bursts, cortisol is helpful. But when it's elevated day after day, it becomes a poison. It damages your heart and blood vessels, it weakens your immune system, it clouds your memory, and it even accelerates the shortening of your telomeres, which are the protective caps on your DNA and a key biological marker of how quickly you are aging. Now, the core reason this becomes so prevalent in our later years is that we have had a lifetime to accumulate emotional baggage. So many seniors carry the heavy weight of old regrets, lingering resentments from conflicts that happened 20 years ago, and unresolved grief over losses they never fully processed. They might not even think about these things consciously every day, but that stress lives on in the body, keeping the cortisol dripping, and silently wearing down their health year after year. It manifests as that unexplainable high blood pressure, the constant anxiety, or the immune system that just can't seem to fight off a common cold. I remember a patient, Evelyn, who had terrible insomnia and chronic pain. She had been estranged from her sister for over a decade after a bitter family argument. She insisted she was over it, but as we talked, it was clear the anger and hurt were still there, eating away at her. She was carrying a huge burden of resentment. It took a lot of courage, but she finally wrote her sister a letter. Not to rehash the fight, but simply to say she was ready to forgive and let it go. The simple act of forgiveness was like turning off a poison faucet inside her body. Her sleep improved, her pain lessened, and she felt a sense of peace she hadn't experienced in years. This is why your solution must be to create daily stress exits. This isn't a luxury. It is a critical strategy for a long life. Practice deep belly breathing for just 5 minutes a day. Journal your thoughts before bed to get them out of your head and onto paper. Take a daily walk in nature, which is a proven cortisol reducer. And perhaps the most powerful of all, forgive someone you've been holding a grudge against. You don't have to tell them. Just do it in your own heart. Let the burden go. Your body will thank you for it. And that brings us to our final, and perhaps most important mistake of all. Mistake number 7. The purpose vacuum. This last mistake might just be the most dangerous one we've discussed. After a lifetime spent working a job, raising a family, and contributing in a defined role, retirement can arrive and leave a giant, gaping void. For many, their primary sense of identity vanishes. They lose their why. They lose the reason that pulled them out of bed in the morning. And without a sense of purpose, something profound and dangerous happens. The body can literally begin to shut down. This isn't just a psychological idea. Hard science backs this up. Numerous studies have shown that having a strong sense of purpose, a reason to get up each morning, can extend your lifespan by as many as 7 years. The core reason this is so powerful is that purpose acts as a biological fuel. It organizes your days, it motivates you to stay active and engaged, and it protects your brain. When you have a purpose, your body releases beneficial neurochemicals that reduce stress and inflammation. When you lose that purpose, you can fall into a state of apathy and decline. This is often the real reason behind a rapid decline in health after retirement that so many families witness. It's not that the person's body suddenly gave out, it's that their spirit lost its reason to keep fighting. The days feel empty and meaningless, and that sense of emptiness translates directly into physical decline. I've seen this countless times. But I also saw the reverse in a man named Frank, a former high school principal. After he retired, he felt lost. His days lacked structure, and he felt his sharpness and energy fading. He confessed to me that he felt useless. His transformation began with a simple request from his daughter. Could he help his grandson, who was struggling with reading, for an hour after school twice a week? Frank agreed. That small act reignited his spark. He wasn't just a retiree anymore. He was a mentor. He was Mr. Frank, the principal again. He had a reason to prepare, a person who depended on him, a purpose. His energy returned, his mood lifted, and his mind felt sharper than it had in years. So, your final and most vital task is to redefine your purpose. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Mentor a younger person in your family or community. Set a new, small goal, like planning a trip you've always dreamed of, learning to paint, or finally organizing those old family photos into albums. Find joy in small, daily contributions, like baking for a neighbor, looking after a pet, or tending to a small garden. Purpose is the fuel for a long and vibrant life. It is more powerful, more essential, than any pill a doctor could ever prescribe. Find yours, and protect it with all your heart. As we come to the end of our time together, I want to bring you back to the story of a wonderful woman I know, named Carol. When I first met her, she was on the fast track to becoming another sad statistic. She was over-medicated, feeling foggy and tired from the cocktail of pills in her cabinet. She was chronically inflamed and sluggish from a diet of convenient, processed foods. She was growing weaker and more fearful as she began taking it easy and avoiding movement. She was deeply lonely and was starting to believe that those senior moments were an inevitable sign that her best years were behind her. Each one of the 7 mistakes we've talked about today, she was making them. But here is the beautiful part. Carol decided to fight back. She had that tough, honest conversation with her doctor, and together, they cleaned out her medicine cabinet. She cleared the junk food from her pantry and rediscovered the simple joy of real, colorful food. She started with small, 10-minute walks around her block, which slowly turned into bigger, more confident walks in the park. She joined a church group, not just for faith, but for friendship and connection. And she rediscovered her purpose, in something as simple and beautiful as teaching her granddaughter how to knit. Today, in her mid-70s, Carol is stronger, sharper, and more full of life than she was at 60. Her story proves one thing, with absolute certainty. Aging is not the enemy, neglect is. The small choices you make, starting today, will determine whether you quietly fade or vibrantly thrive into your 90s and beyond. So now, as we wrap up, I have one important question for you. What is the one commitment you are making to yourself, for yourself, after watching this video? It could be as simple as, I will drink an extra glass of water tomorrow, or I will call my sister this week, or even just, I will take a 5-minute walk. Please, share that one personal commitment in the comments below, because writing it down is the first powerful step to making it real. And seeing your commitment might just be the inspiration someone else needs to make their own. And if you found real value and perhaps a little hope in our time together today, show your support by giving this video a like. To make sure you don't miss our next conversation, please hit that subscribe button. It's more than just a click. It's you joining a community of people dedicated to living their golden years with strength, dignity, and joy. Finally, think of just one person in your life. A friend, a sibling, a neighbor, who needs to hear this message. Please share it with them. A simple act of sharing might just be the most caring thing you do all day. Thank you for spending your valuable time with me. Stay healthy, stay empowered, and I'll see you in the next video.